Good morning, friends. How are you? It's around 7ish in the morning here in Bulgaria. It's a little bit of an overcast day, but I had the same experience I've been having every day as I move into this outdoor space. Like when I walk out the door, and it's just so gorgeous that I just wanted to share and show you some of the changes that are going on. So I'll turn you around, and also wanted to tell you a little bit about things that are happening. First, so this is the door into the house. That's my beautiful boutique from Sri Lanka. I treated myself to. There's like a little mudroom kind of an area, and then that's the door that goes into the next part. Because we've lived in a bus and lived in such small spaces, we're really just occupying a very small portion of this house. Part I got cleaned out and feel really comfortable in, and it's quite spacious for us. It's fine. So I come out the door and it looks like this. And I'm going to get you closer so you can see how beautiful this actually is, because I think from a distance it looks a bit messy. But the garden is a bit wild and I love it like that. I've got this nice outdoor sink. That was one of the things about the property I really liked. I also really like about this property that when you walk in the gate off the little road out there, it terraces down. You have a sense of coming out in it or down into it, which is great. I just woke up. I'm still finding my voice in my head. But this actually doesn't like go into a sewer system or anything. For those who are curious, there's just a pipe that runs down and it goes straight off the back of the property. I use as little soap as I can to be environmentally sensitive, and I just love the spaciousness of it. If I want hot water, I bring hot water out here in my bowl, and I wash my dishes out here, and I put them here to dry. These are a little wet again because it sprinkled a little bit last night. But I love standing here and washing my dishes. And that funny little machine under there is a little miniature washing machine that was on the property. It's like brand new. It just kind of agitates it around and it does amazingly well. And you can just turn a little timer thing on it. No other settings beyond that. And I have an extension cord that I pull out and I wash my clothes out here. And then I hang them up to dry on the line. So really enjoying being environmentally friendly like that too. I could wash them by hand. I've done some of that. I'm a little lazy there. My geraniums are fixing to burst forth. Those were kind of old, and it's an old plant, and it was looking a little haggard. And I cut a bunch of cuttings off of it that I've gotten water to start. There's some different potted plants. There's 2 bedrooms up here in the top floor. That at some point I'll get into cleaning them out. We've got lots of room for guests, so anyone interested in coming for a visit and maybe playing on some projects, just let us know. We'd love to have you. We're kind of be in and out of the country. So this is a project I worked on yesterday. It was is an old outdoor stove. Hello everybody that's joining. It's endured a lot of heat in its life. There was an older pipe there, and when I burned some trash in it, just trying it out for the first time a couple weeks ago, the pipe got so hot and pieces were flying off of it, and luckily I wasn't so close to it. So yesterday I pulled the old pipe out and I replaced it with the piece that I found out in the barn, which was a really simple operation. And then I'm going to post some video about the stuff that I did yesterday. I've kind of reconstructed the top with just putting some different odds and ends of pieces of metal that I found around to stabilize it. And you just put your little fire in there and I can cook things out here. I'm dreaming of drying a lot of fruit and playing with those kinds of techniques because we do have a lot of fruit trees here. And I think one of the best ways to preserve is drying, because I love dried fruit. And it makes a lot of sense, and I've seen a lot of it in developing nations where they dry a lot of different things, and that's kind of inspired me. I was digging around the barns yesterday looking for things and found some other things. I think a lot of people on my feed will know what this is, and I think a lot of people won't. So I'm not going to tell you right away what this thing is. And then I also found this really pretty old shelf hanging it wasn't hanging, it was on the floor in the other old house, and I cleaned it up with a little bit of clear stain. I think it's going to be gorgeous. I talked more about this area yesterday on a video, so I'll just wait and post that. But I'll walk you down into my garden. Under these rugs that I've thrown down here is the water main where you would turn the water on and off. Hello, Florida. Hello, friends. Hello, everybody. So it's the columbine that's making me so excited. These are columbine. I can't ever remember the name they use here in Europe for it. It's quite different. But each are a different color, and there's so many of them, and they evidently reseed very well on their own, and they're just beautiful. I've got some irises coming up. This big thing right here is a grapevine. This is all underneath a vineyard. It's got some areas here that we're a little bit worried about. Part of that's our fault. Part of it's my fault for cutting it too late in the season, and it weeped a lot. And I hope I didn't. It's going to live, but I don't know that it'll have as much vegetation over this middle part as I hoped. This is a giant climbing rose. It is absolutely covered with rosebuds. And for those who don't know, so this is in a little village in Bulgaria. It's not a very hilly part. It's slightly hilly part of the country. There's some really mountainous areas of this country. It's a Balkan nation along the Black Sea, and it's extremely affordable. It's like a working into the EU country. It's an EU country that's gaining more EU privileges. A developing nation, extremely affordable, very old world. Got all different kinds of flowers coming up. So I've been going through here and trying to figure out who do I think was like planted in here and who just kind of showed up on their own. Weeds are just plants out of place, right? I will not use any weed killer, that's for sure. That's all my compost pile over there from the things I've been pulling out. Got a little carnation going here. Over here I've planted a few vegetables. Got a couple different kinds of tomatoes, some heirloom tomatoes. Have some neighbors that are serious permaculturists, and they sold me half a dozen eggs from their chickens and ducks. And then I got 6 small vegetable plants. I've got a courgette, which is a zucchini, and a pumpkin. And I've got what do they call it? Like a spinach plant that just keeps producing, and you keep pinching leaves off the top. It's over there in a pot. But I got all that from them for like $2.60, something like that. Gave me the going market price. So this is a little path that kind of was naturally here. It sort of emerged from before. Look at these guys. Aren't they beautiful? Hello. So sweet. And we've got a peony covered with flowers. So what's going on is end of the week we will be going to a town called Stara Zagora. We're going to get there by we're not quite sure yet how we're going to get from Vodica to Popovo. And Popovo, which is like 20 minutes away or so, we'll catch a train, and then we're going to take that to the coast to a city called Varna, which is a popular beach destination here, and pick up a rental car at the airport there, and then drive to Stara Zagora. There is public transportation, but we want to be able to roam the area because this area has 8,000 years of history. You heard that right, 8,000 years. There's I think the best preserved Stone Age dwelling in maybe all of Europe. I have to go back and look at that. And lots of other remarkable history in that area. So excited about that. Going to spend a few days exploring around. This is just some of the cool stuff that I've been finding in the barns. Hi, friends. Bits of old rakes. This is like an old feeding kind of a tray. I'm still figuring out what task I did with this big thing. There's another one kind of stuck up under the eaves there. All kinds of pots and things. I've talked about this before, but when you buy a rural property in Bulgaria, it usually comes with all the contents. This little mess over here was like all underneath a blanket, so I'm still kind of uncovering things that were stuck over here in this corner and finding just the most amazing things. These leather boots are one of the things I found. There's so many shoes that fit me, which is pretty funny because I travel with so little. But I'm going to keep some of these. I might as well have a little wardrobe stashed here. If other people come, they might find things that work for them. All kinds of neat old stuff. If you're into old stuff, it's really fun. I found one of these roller bags. It looks a little sun damaged and it's a little bit old, but it still works really well, which is a very handy thing because I live a pedestrian life, and sometimes when you're hauling quite a bit of water and stuff back from the store, it's nice to have something with rollers. We do our market. We buy our groceries as we need them. I'll talk more on that later. But those are old rugs all hanging on the fence over there. They've been hanging there for a bit. They were quite dusty and musty, and I just kind of turn them over once in a while. I've been letting the rain wash them for me and letting them dry. There's quite a few more. They layer them on the floor. Some of the floors are mud floors, like really hard packed old mud. Here's our old barns. That other building over there is also part of this property that we purchased. It was in American dollars. This entire property was $8,600, and it cost about another $1,000 or so to do all the closing costs. Blah blah blah. You can see that gate goes out to the main road, and then this vineyard goes over that. So this is one way that a vehicle can come in. And then there's another covered area over there with a second double gate where a vehicle can park under a covered shelter. These areas are enclosed by fencing to keep wild animals out, primarily. There's a lot of raw nature left in this part of the world that's exciting to us. We are allowed to be here for 3 months at a time, so the end of June will be the end of this 3 months. These are old animal stalls back in here. Another area that haven't explored. Big old barn here has an upper loft level. Quite a bit of things we haven't explored yet. These are called gypsy tiles. They're one of the kinds of tiles that are used here. If you take a close look, you can see that they were traditionally, and these might have been too, I don't know, these might have been handmade, but they would shape them over their thigh. So the sizes vary based on the size of the thigh of the person that made them, which I was told I think is pretty fascinating. These are mud bricks. As long as they can be hundreds of years old, as long as they're not directly in getting hit by the rain, they last really well. Typically, they don't get rain and wind here at the same time, so a lot of the eaves don't stick out very far, and things still last. But we would be wise to put some render over here, this at some point, to protect those mud bricks. But you can harvest mud bricks all around the countryside, and wonder why those things are hanging from there like that. I may never know. You see those rods hanging from the top? But you can harvest these mud bricks and melt them down and build new anythings out of mud. This is the raspberry patch. Ryan's worked out here quite a bit. It was quite overgrown around it. But these are raspberry bushes. They're blooming. There's a whole thicket here of raspberry bushes. And then we've got all kinds of fruit trees along in here, and then another small vineyard. And this, which is the highly coveted walnut tree. Walnut trees are actually government protected here, which is interesting because there's not lots of rules, and you almost never see the police, and you never hear a siren, and that's just such a totally different lifestyle. I hear roosters and the clip-clop of horses, but I don't hear sirens and stuff. But walnut trees are protected. They're marked on your property, like on the official papers, and if you wanted to try to take one down, you'd have to get permission. I think that goes back to practicality and stuff in the communist times, I guess. I'm not quite sure how those laws developed, but I know that the difficulties of communism, when there was inadequate food, sometimes they just became very resourceful here. I still have a lot to learn, but I was quite surprised that there's not everybody is like so negative about back in the communist days, because there were pluses for them too, and certain stability of income and such. But anyhow, ooh, the cherries are starting to ripen. Yeah, so this is as I suspected. There'll be cherries on here. We won't have as many cherries as there were last year. It's been a strange spring. The cold is hanging on. The cold and the wet. The weather's been unusual, and the plants have responded to that by. It's just very different this time of year than it was when we were here the same time last year. How the vegetation, how much fruit's on the plants. So that gives you an idea. I really, I love out here at the edge of our property, which is actually those posts over here, because you can see, on a clear day, you can see out across the hillsides. It's really, really beautiful. These properties behind us, this is an abandoned property. This property over here, someone works this field. Doesn't seem to be being worked right now, but I believe that it will be. Yes, this is very much an agrarian environment. Yeah, so I think that's what I wanted to show you, is how excited I am with my beautiful flower garden. There's no sense of pressure to do a lot of things here, because as long as you don't have water coming into your buildings, they hold up. So those are the only things you really have to worry about. This is our old barn right here. That other building, the farthest one, they're immediately adjacent, but that's part of the next property, and it's an empty. There's no one living there. So I've got incredible privacy. There are 3 sheep that live on the other side of this fence, but I don't hear them very much. So this, scoring this property, which was never part of the original plan, turned out to be a really great thing, because it was so affordable, and we're able to live here day to day. It's bought us the gift of time and the opportunity to kind of relax into it and think creatively of trickle income methods, and to just look at alternative ways of living, how to live lighter on the planet. I am really excited because I made a new Bulgarian friend, and she we're going to be going and seeing an apiary today or tomorrow. There's going to be some bees being gathered up, and she's got all different kinds of things that she's going to teach me about old world techniques. I'm very interested in permaculture and sustainability, how we can do things differently. I think the time has come to really think about some of this. So, isn't that gorgeous? Little magical garden. Yeah, I really, really love it. So thanks for joining. It was nice having you along. And now I'm going to walk down to the village center and go have my cup of coffee and write some notes. I'm going to be launching here soon a Patreon account, which is a way for those who want to get a postcard from me monthly. They can join the postcard club, and there'll be some other levels on there of opportunities for people who would like to support us and be part of the adventure and gain things out of it. I'm working on ways to share information about the things that we've learned, from budget travel to how we prepare before we go places, all those different kinds of things, because we've learned so much. It's nearly 6 years now that we've been on the roam, and I've just learned so much. It's become so much easier and relaxed are bopping around the planet. The end of June, we will be going to Slovakia, a new country for me, and I think that's like my 35th country or so now, and quite excited about that. And we've also scored a workaway in Austria for this summer on a very well established permaculture community with an old food forest that they've had going for I think like nearly 40 years. So there's a lot on the horizon that I'm going to be sharing about. So thank you guys. Love you, miss you, and have a wonderful day. Okay? Bye. Bye.